Hey Merfolk fans, I'm Joe. Thanks very much for joining me today. If you'd like to support my channel and the videos that I make, please check out the link above to my Patreon page. I'm here now with a replay of a friendly league match with, let's see, M. Hayashi's build of Merfolk, which has a playset of Chalice of the Void in the main and a playset of Coralhelm Commander. Looks like the opponent is on the play. And this is a nice opening hand. It's got some interaction, some beaters. Opponent kept 7. Flooded Strand looks like a control deck. So going to my turn, I can just play an island and pass. So I will do that. Opponent gets basic island. Interesting. What's happening here? Okay, no play. Sulphur Falls. It could be Storm, I guess. I don't know if they play Sulphur Falls. Also be Blue Moon, but they don't run. I guess I don't know how many and what type of non-basics they run. Another land is okay. We only had 2. So in this spot, I've got Trickster up, so I might as well just play an island. Sort of pass, I guess. Let's see if the opponent does anything on the end sub. Nothing. Okay. Second Sulphur Falls and just passing the turn again. I think we can just go for Trickster here. Try to sort of suss out what's happening. My read here is that it's either Blue Moon, I guess, which is sort of a Through the Breach Emrakul deck that plays Blood Moon, or it could be like Kiki combo or something like that. So actually, you know what? I decided to not play out Trickster here. I'll explain why in a second. I just tried to drop a Coralhelm Commander here to try to level him up on turn 3 with our odd numbered mana. But the opponent spell snared that, so still not a really strong read on what is being played. I guess spell snare points at control rather than combo. I don't think combo decks would play spell snare. They'd probably just play remand. The reason I didn't play Trickster is because if this is an Emrakul deck, Trickster is a super clean answer to that. So if the opponent plays their 5th land and jams Through the Breach, Emrakul shows up, and before combat, I can just tap him down, loses all his abilities, and just kind of looks silly. So the opponent countered my Coralhelm Commander, and I really don't know what deck I'm playing against yet, so I decided to keep Trickster back. Desolate Lighthouse kind of adds weight to the idea that it might be a combo deck, because they like to dig for certain cards. But here I see Jace, and I think I start to realize that it's probably just more of a control deck. Although Jace can help dig to combo cards. I'm not sure if Blue Moon plays Jace. Actually, I guess I have some research to do. So he doesn't have a fetch land right now, so he's a little bit brainstorm locked with Jace. He had put 2 bad cards on top of his deck, but he's going to get stuck drawing those cards next turn. All right, land would be good. And no land, but Silvergill can draw me a card. So, but because I think that this is still Through the Breach, I have to respect it and keep Merfolk Trickster up, which is gaining this deck a ton of tempo against me. I mean, they even have Jace on the board, just brainstorming away. He's still locked up, though. He's just drawing cards and putting them back on top of his library. Doesn't go for Through the Breach. So I decide that, you know, if he doesn't have if he had Through the Breach, I feel like he would go for it. But he didn't, so I'm just going to play out my Trickster. I've got more Tricksters where that came from, I should say. So Lightning Bolt, again, starting to point more towards a controlling direction. Chalice of the Void. I feel like this deck could be getting close to what it wants to do. It's good for me to at least get a body on the board. Here's Remand. Still not hitting lands, so we're just spinning our wheels this game. Jace brainstorms again, still brainstorm locked. Gonna go for this Silvergill again. Opponent has a Snapcaster, which is gonna be spell snare, I guess. So just straight up counter my card draw. Pretty good. A Snapcaster has me sort of firmly believing at this point that it's just a red-blue control deck. which I guess is a thing now. Here's Chalice of the Void. Maybe we can get that to stick. Well, the opponent just unloads a lightning bolt. All right, so here's Jace brainstorming again, just seeing the same cards. And here is Pia and Kieran, which we have Dismember for if we want it. We've got Echoing Truth for the Thopters if we need it. We've got to get something going here. Take 2 from Snapcaster, and the opponent is currently winning the race. We just gave them so much tempo at the beginning of the game by not playing out any creatures. All right, so we've got options. I think I'm going to start by hitting Pia and Kieran and see if the opponent has like another Remand or something. They don't. So Pia and Kieran off the battlefield. Opponent's on 4 cards. Yes, I just want to go for the Silvergill again. Opponent remanding. And that's all I can do on that turn. Playing the tempo game pretty well, the opponent. I'm going to take 4 here, go to the 7. Things are starting to look grim. The opponent gets to see 1 new card underneath the 2 cards that he already knows about on top of his deck. Well, there's a fetch land, so he does get to shuffle away 2 cards finally. Another land, but we're pretty far behind here. Here's a click, and I've had to pause and think about this. In the end, I didn't really care what he took. It's sort of 6 half a dozen. He took the Echoing Truth because he didn't want me to bounce the Thopters. That's his clock. As silly as it might seem, he has lethal on board right now. So what to do? Here's a Harbinger. I'll just bounce one of the Thopters and try to take him off of lethal, but I still have 18 damage to deal. So one just cracks, and what, he's just going to counter and draw with Cryptic Command. Seems pretty good in the spot. Well, he's just logic knotting me. So Harbinger has been logic knotted, and I guess I could have Silvergill and drawn into a Dismember, hit the Vendilion click, I go down to 3, and then I just die to the rest of the creatures. So I got really smacked around by that deck in game 1, but it was really important for sort of letting me suss out what I'm playing against. I did a bit of research between game 1 and game 2. I looked online at some lists of just blue-red control. And as it turns out, they don't play a ton of 1-drops. They have the Spell Snares, they have a couple Lightning Bolts, well, 4 Lightning Bolts probably, but not really enough to keep Chalice of the Void in Game 2. So I'll show you guys my sideboard as soon as I open up Game 2. All right, back for Game 2. Let me go ahead and show you my sideboard. So I took out all 4 Spreading Seas. There's not really a lot that I have to do with them in this matchup. I mean, they're going to have tons of blue, tons of red. I can't really screw them on their colors. And the card's just not good enough when we already have access to Island Walk. So let's see. I took out 2 of my Dismembers, took out 4 Spreading Seas, took out 4 Chalice of the Void. That's 10 cards out. I brought in 4 Dispels. Deprive, 4 Deprive, 4 Relics, and then 2 Echoing Truths. So I have all 3 Echoing Truths in at this point, just because in response to Anger of the Gods, I can bounce my creatures back to my hand if they try to stick something dangerous, either like a bunch of Thopters or I guess blue-red runs Kyranos, the god. Bounce that guy, that seems pretty good. Bouncing Jace gives us some tempo. They can try to recast it and we can counter it if we have a Deprive. So again, 4 Deprives as counter spells to hit their big payoff spells, 4 Relics to keep them off graveyard value, and 2 Echoing Truths just as sort of flexible catch-all spells. So this is an absolutely beautiful opening hand. It's got Vial, it's got a man land. In these kinds of control matchups in this build, with 3 Faerie Conclaves and 4 Mutavaults, we want to look as often as possible to have the opponent trade their removal for our man lands. AEther Vial, Counterspell, a couple of creatures, just beautiful. Now that I know I'm playing against a regular control deck, I can play a much more accurate game. I think I'm probably going to be looking to flash in Trickster on the opponent's end step at this point. There's nothing on turn 2 that I'm that interested in countering. But, you know, passing with blue mana up, if they do play something, maybe Search for Azkenta, I don't even know if I would use my Deprive on that. Passing with mana up allows me Trickster or Deprive. So this is actually a really nice evolution in the deck, having these two instant speed effects. Another blue source is not that bad in this spot, so play it and pass with my two instant speed effects up. Aether Vial is just ticking up slowly. Looks like they're going for opt here. Yep. So we can see what they do if I open up the chat. So it looks like they went bottom and then drew. So we always like to see them go bottom, because if they go top, it means that they got something really nice. Scalding Tarn go, which just means end step Trickster. I don't have to wait for Emrakul this game. All right, so here it comes. Let's see if they've got a Spell Snare or something. Nothing. So, all right, another Deprive is pretty sweet. Let's go, let's see, straight to combat. Try to get in with the Trickster, see if the opponent has any removal for it. Doesn't look like it. All right, so this is going precisely according to plan. We want to attack as much as we can, get in as much damage as possible with relatively expendable creatures like Silvergills, Tricksters, Harbingers, etc. Although I think I might have taken the Harbingers out. Oh no, Harbingers are still in. So we've got plenty of bodies. And we got another one there with Mutavault. Let's see. Looks like I passed to go to the end step, but the opponent had a response. And yeah, that's it. Not really interested, even though I could level him up a lot right now, not really interested in running out this Coralhelm. He's the last creature in my hand, and we're presenting a clock with Trickster and Mutavault. So opt again. Let's open up that chat again. Again, bottom. So we feel pretty good about the scries so far. We've got Deprive up here if he wants to go for anything interesting. So opponent's responding here. They're going for click, and that's an excellent target for Deprive. It keeps them off of a clock, and it keeps our cards in hand. So very, very easy decision. When it comes to cards that battle over card advantage and our clock, those are the things we want to fight over. Vendilion Click lets him ship one of our good cards out of our hand while getting an evasive creature onto the table. Countering this just prevents them from taking one of these good cards and lets me keep applying pressure. All right, so we had to bounce an island back to our hand, but that's not really a big deal. I activated AEther Vial, and I wasn't really sure if I was just bluffing at that point or if I was going to put the Coralhelm into play. But since they tapped out, I felt much more comfortable putting the Coralhelm into play. Now, it would be excellent if I had 3 lands in play still, because putting a 4th land in would let me level him up right away. And that's actually really, really good against red decks, because when he becomes a 4/4 at level 4, he becomes sort of immune to lightning bolts, anger of the gods, that kind of stuff. So it looks like we're going to be able to get in for a nice chunk of damage here. Unfortunately, just drawing lands. Let's go ahead and activate Mutavault. Actually, I'm sorry, I just leveled up. It looked like I didn't activate Mutavault. Looks like I wanted to hold up Deprive. So an option here, let's see, if I... Okay, yes, that makes sense, because if I only had 3 lands in play, the opponent's going to have 4 lands next turn. If they try to slam Jace or something, I might want to fight over that. But leaving Deprive up seems pretty good. And I'm going to be able to play a land next turn, and if I want to level up Coralhelm Commander, I can do that. It's going for Roast. And typically we don't fight over spot removal because our counter spells are too rare and too important, too powerful in the matchup, so I've just got to let this resolve. Okay, opponent is scrying yet again. And they went bottom top, so at least they saw something that they liked. And since I countered their Vendilion Click, it seems like they're much more likely to go for instant speed effects on their own turn. But who knows? Maybe they go on my turn anyway. Just making an observation there. I think I bluff AEther Vial here just to see what they do, see if I can get any response. I like to try to mix it up with AEther Vial and bluff it sometimes, not at other times. So Faerie Conclave is gas. It's actually pretty good. So pretty easy decision to play that land this turn. Actually, you know what? I probably won't, just because I think it might be better to push damage this turn and then play an island to hold up a counterspell. I can play Faerie Conclave next turn. Let's see if the opponent has a bolt. Okay, looks like they don't. All right, they go down to 6. And even though we're drawing pretty poorly, now that I know what I'm playing against, and we've made some sideboarding choices here that favor us, feel much better in the matchup now. All right, so end step, bluff the Vial again, see if I can get anything. Nothing. All right, so there's a Coralhelm Commander. Creatures are obviously what I want in this spot. I've already got a piece of counter magic. I think I might just activate Mutavault and go for it here. Of course, there's a risk of Snapcaster, but there's just a sorcery here with Roast. And so he could just really snap opt. Of course, he could bolt and then snap bolt, which would be really disgusting. All right, so decide not to go with Mutavault. Just get in with the Trickster and see what the opponent has. He's going for Electrolyze here. It is a fight over cards, like I was saying before. And it would have been sort of reasonable to try to deprive that. However, the opponent has mana up for a potential counter to my counter. And deprive is really much more for something more threatening than just a piece of spot removal, draw a card, you know, like a big planeswalker. I think I'm going to try to level this guy up here. Let's see. But since I have Deprive and the opponent's got tons of lands, probably best to leave it up. Goes for Jace. I think I decide to fight over this because I don't want him to bounce the Coralhelm Commander. And yes, the opponent does have a piece of counter magic. So if I tried to stop Electrolyze last turn, they probably would have countered that anyway. So Jace is going to bounce my Coralhelm. Fortunately, I've got these man lands. Probably going to make short work of Jace, the Mind Sculptor. So there's another Mutavault, which is excellent. It's just gas, you know. It's drawing a creature. I'm going to activate both of these man lands and go after Jace. There's no way the opponent can kill both of my creatures. Let's see if they can even kill one of them. We really just want to get this Jace off the table. We want to minimize the opponent's resources. Of course, I could try to take the opponent down to 2 and then close things out the following game. The following turn. But I've got this Coralhelm and I've got 3 man lands, so I'm feeling pretty decent about my spot. I'm going to sort of just push my man lands for a while and keep the Coralhelm back. So here is Conclave and a Mutavault. Let's see what the opponent has. This Cryptic is going to tap and draw. That's fine. Can't do that forever. Of course, he can snap Cryptic, which is pretty good. Just keeps playing lands. Okay. Another Coralhelm's pretty good. That's going to make me more inclined to play out one of them. I'm going to go for the same attack this turn and see if the opponent has something else. Just a bolt on the Mutavault, which is fine. He's spending removal on my lands. Looks like the opponent's set to take 2 damage here, which then represents lethal with the 2 on board. And with that 2 remaining mana, I'm going to go ahead and level up one of these Coralhelm Commanders. Again, since I have an extra threat in my hand now, I'm not totally overextending. The opponent takes 1 point to crack that Scalding Tarn. Okay, and they just scooped. So I got there in game 2, very patient play. That's really the way to do it with this build of Merfolk, especially against control decks. So let's go ahead and see how game 3 went. Hey guys, back for game 3. The opponent's going to be on the play for this one. Opening hand is pretty solid. Just need to draw 1 blue source. I've got an AEther Vial, which is obviously excellent against counter spells. One's going to start off with Serum Visions. Of course, we want to see what he's doing with that. 2 on the bottom. Very nice. All right, so for our turn, we're looking for blue mana. Doesn't really matter right now, but at some point, drawing some blue lands would be nice. There it is. Right on cue, slam our AEther Vial, and yeah, all these Mutavaults are definitely going to do some work in this game. Now, note that I am behind in time at this point, and I do my best to keep up with the opponents, try to stay ahead of them. But in this case, I have fallen behind a little bit, but this is game 3 and we have 15 minutes, so definitely have enough time to work with. The opponent just plays a Flooded Strand and passes on their second turn. We'll get to tick up Aether Vial, and with the opponent representing either Remand or Spell Snare, playing out Relic here and leaving mana to crack it seems pretty good. Again, we're playing the long game against control. If we are an aggro deck, if Merfolk were an aggro deck, we would be looking to attack as much as possible before the opponent can hit all their land drops and start playing much bigger, more powerful spells than our little aggro deck. But we're not. We're a tempo deck. We have more card advantage spells, I think, than this blue-red control deck, or at least can keep parity with them. They have a lot of card filtering with scry spells, but we have 4 Silvergills that just draw us cards. I have 4 relics post-board that actually totally controls their virtual card advantage with their graveyard. So a tap Steam Vents and an Opt. Okay, let's open up that chat again. Okay, so 1 to the bottom. Opponent is not enjoying his scries very much this game yet. Sulfur Falls, go. It is not time to crack this relic yet. At least I don't think so. What am I going to do here? I'm going to bluff a Curse Catcher. I like that bluff because if he has a Vendilion Click, let's see it now. That way he gets to see 1 less card in my hand. Something like Electrolyze that he doesn't want to get countered. Maybe he just throws it at my face, draws a card. Bluffing Curse Catcher is a pretty powerful thing. So he doesn't fall for it. And let's see, here's the draw step click. Actually, the click isn't affected by the Curse Catcher, but he starts to tap and then actually lets me put Vial up. But then in my draw step, after I hit that, after hit my 6th land, the opponent gets this click. Now I had to choose which creature I wanted. Now obviously Silvergill gives me a body with an extra card, but it just gives the opponent an extra card to choose from when they ship it. Master of the Pearl Trident is a rather important creature to have on the battlefield to give me Island Walk. So I decided just to Vial in my Master of the Pearl Trident here. It's kind of a tricky decision, but the opponents obviously, they're sort of forced to, well, they could have left the Silvergill in my hand, which might have been reasonable since I don't have any other Merfolk, so I couldn't cast it right now. In response, I just activate Relic, chip away at their graveyard. It does take a Silvergill, and I'm left with a 7th land. Fortunately, 3 of those are creatures. Mutavault here has Island Walk, and he's going to take the opponent down to 14. And we've still got mana up to crack Relic of Progenitus. Okay, Flame Slash on the Lord, pretty rough. Check out Flame Slash. Now this is a sorcery. The opponent's playing a lot of sorcery speed effects, which seems to be kind of a non-bow with Snapcaster Mage. 4 damage to target creature. All right, so my turn. I drew a creature, that's great. I've still got Relic up. Can keep chipping away at the opponent's graveyard. I'm gonna go ahead and put this Lord in and try to swing in for 6. It's an aggressive line. Actually, just 3 for now. What was I playing around here? I remember this clearly. I think I wanted to leave up Relic so that the opponent couldn't Snapcaster Flame Slash next turn. So let's see. If he has removal, obviously he can trade with my mainland if he wants to. But using another Lightning Bolt on one of my lands, it's pretty awesome. Play the Mutavault, and with the opponent on 2 mana here, well, let's see. What's he going for here? All right, here's a Jace. He's tapped out for that, so I can just attack with 2 Mutavaults. He's looking at the top card of my library. Trying to Fate Seal me already? Puts it on the bottom. A little early for that, Jace. Oh, but actually, that's, of course, a good play because it puts him outside of double Mutavault range. Now, I would like to draw a card here, so cycling Relic seems decent, especially since the opponent can't cast Snapcaster right now. Ugh, Echoing Truth, not the best. It's a very flexible card, but I was really hoping for like a Lord right there. All right, well, we do get to the Lord. So I think it's a pretty clear play here. We'd really love to get this Jace off the table. If the opponent has another Lightning Bolt, that's pretty good stuff. All right, so we're going to try to take the Jace out. Opponent cracks. Oh, okay, tap Steam Vents, psyching me out. All right, so Jace is going to be gone. We're going to have 8 power on the board. The opponent's got 3 cards after their draw step. So our board is much better than theirs right now. Okay, well, here's Keranos. That was one of the cards that I mentioned when sort of outlining uses for Echoing Truth. This guy is nowhere near being a creature, so we don't have to worry about that, but his second ability, or third ability, I guess, is really, really powerful. So when reveal the first card you draw and each turn, and whenever you reveal a land card this way, draw a card. That's powerful. When you reveal anything other than a land, it's a free lightning bolt to anything. So Opt lets you draw a card on my turn, and Keranos doesn't say on each. Oh wait, it does. My bad. It says on each of your turns. So that is so much more balanced than if he could do it on my turn too. All right, so opponent plays Keranos. I could bounce him with Echoing Truth, and then if he taps out again, I think it's just game. So let's see how that goes. AEther Vial. So drawing pretty poorly. I think I'm just going to activate 1 Mutavault, knock the opponent down to 8, and then bounce this Keranos before the opponent can untap. All right, so what's happening here? Here's a Pia and Kirin. Its second ability requires 3 mana to destroy something, so I am going to be able to crack in with the 2 Mutavaults with Island Walk right now. But will not be able to attack with the Island Walk Lord. Of course, they could have a Bolt, which would be pretty good. Okay, so AEther Vial is going to stay on 2. The other one's going to get ticked up to 1, and we'd really like to draw a creature here. Well, Deprive is actually just as good. Really limits the opponent's outs against this position that we've sort of navigated into. All right, so we're going to get in with these guys, and at this point we could even counter like a lightning bolt if they had it. Although, let's see how this goes. Yep, so opponent goes down to 2. They still can't really tap out for the Keranos, right? Because, let's see. Odds are they're just going to leave their mana up to use these Thopters as removal spells. All right, so goes for it on their turn. I actually totally agree with that. You want to get rid of that Lord before I have the opportunity to draw another one and vial him in response. So, what can I draw here? Both Vials on 2. And Coralhelm is pretty sweet because you can play him, level him up a bunch. Yeah, and if they decide to spend this Thopter as a removal spell, then they won't have any flyers to defend against Coralhelm. So it seems like it might be good to activate 1 Mutavault, leave 4 mana up to just go bananas, leveling up Coralhelm. Actually 2 mana to make him a 3/3 flyer. Again, they won't have any flyers left, and still leave up 2 mana for Deprive. So let's get the Coralhelm down, I guess. This is interesting sequencing. I want to see how this goes. But I wasn't going to attack with both Mutavault, so I get him to a 3/3. Actually, the opponent just let me get to level 3. If I were them, I probably would have spent this Thopter getting rid of Coralhelm in response to the level up. In hindsight, I would have probably gone to attacks with the single Mutavault before I ever even brought Coralhelm in and gave the opponent the option of hitting him with the Thopter. Actually, you know what? That would have been game over because if the opponent... Yeah, okay. If the opponent goes after the Coralhelm with the Thopter, then I have enough mana to activate both Mutavaults. You know what? What am I... Okay. So this is how it works. They do have blockers up, right? So if I had activated both Mutavaults, could have done like block, kill one of the Mutavaults. They're basically in a really tough spot here. And I don't know that I had a line that would have just won, assuming that they have nothing in hand except this Thopter. If I activated both Mutavaults and attacked, they could have just blocked and then killed one. No, the line that I chose was actually pretty decent. So looks like they're going to kill the Mutavault. And yeah, I'll pass with Deprive up. And the opponent just passes after their draw step. So, let's see. Nothing in the graveyard for them to get with a Snapcaster. Any creature would be pretty solid here. Drawn a lot of lands. Can't really complain though, because my lands have done a good job attacking this game. So let's level this guy up all the way. He's a 4/4 now. Go to attacks and see if they have like a cryptic, right? Because then I can still activate Mutavault. He's, all right. So, he's returning him. Okay, well that makes sense. I could counter it if I want to or try to. Seems like a good spot for it. But I let it resolve. That's really patient. We know he still has the Kyranos in his hand. We can get the Coralhelm back onto the board. I'm going to activate this Mutavault, and I'm not sure if this is totally correct, because I could have just put the Coralhelm out and leveled him up again with leaving up 2 mana still. But I kind of like clearing out the way too. All right, so I just bluffed one of the vials. Feeling a little silly. Opponent is passing again, I guess. And since I have no more man lands, it's of course time to put in the Coralhelm Commander. And we are going to try to defend this guy. Okay, we see a Snapcaster. So the thing is about this, that I can let the Snapcaster resolve. He's almost certainly, let's see, going to go for the Cryptic. That's really the only target in there. To either bounce or tap my dude. In which case, I can just counter, or try to counter, the Cryptic command, and then I can level up to flying and close the game out like that. So I let the Snapcaster resolve. And we see he's casting it now. He is returning my Coralhelm and drawing, I guess, right? So I do decide to try to counter this. Opponent pays 1 for Spell Snare, but it's GG anyway, because I can just level up. Oh, I'm sorry. No. The opponent's going to have another turn at this, another shot, because the Cryptic is going to resolve. Coralhelm goes back to my hand. Well, they're really dragging out these last 2 points here. So, looks like I might have just clicked through. Not quite sure what happened there. Oh, he was doing that all on my upkeep. That's interesting. So yeah, he bounced my Coralhelm during upkeep, and I tried to deprive it, and he spell snared it. Now he has a Snapcaster on the board. We know he has a Kyranos in hand, and I've got these 2 Coralhelm Commanders. So I might as well put 1 out and just totally max him out, right? Put him up to 4 so that any lightning bolts off the top don't really do the deal. And let's see, what do we got? Thinks better of whatever it was I was trying to do. All right, well, he's looting with Desolate Lighthouse and passing. So it looks like maybe another, oh no, what's happening here? He's going in with the Snapcaster. I'm absolutely going to take it, because if he has an Electrolyze, then my Coralhelm dies after blocks. So let's just let Snap be through. And then we see the value of Coralhelm. This guy is spending an Anger of the Gods and presumably a Lightning Bolt to get rid of this guy. Yep, there it is. But he's all tapped out. It's on 1 card, which we know is Kyranos, which I bounced earlier with Echoing Truth. And here's Coralhelm to clean things up. All right, so I'm pretty sure that was game 3. I've sort of lost track of this game. Yeah, it definitely was, because I was down on under 5 minutes. So yeah, long match against Red-Blue Control, which I thought was Blue Moon with Emrakul earlier and really messed me up in game 1. Yeah, patient play, lots of man lands. We can look at what I exiled. Let's see, there was a Mutavault in there, 2 more Mutavaults. Earlier game, I definitely got in with a Faerie Conclave a few times. And then Coralhelm just doing a great job, getting up to a 4/4, forcing the opponent to spend an Anger of the Gods and a Lightning Bolt. If I had 2 separate regular Merfolk threats, like a Silvergill and a Lord, you know, he could have just used each of those independently, but he had to use both to deal with one of my creatures. So Coralhelm showing his value there. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you'd like to support my channel and these videos, please check out my Patreon page. I definitely really appreciate that. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.